The massive ship appeared suddenly, casting a long shadow over Earth. The Eternal Dominion was 20 kilometers long, making Earth's space stations look like toys in comparison. People around the world stared at their screens in shock as Admiral Ta One's face appeared on every device. "People of Earth," he said, his voice deep and commanding. "Your world has been selected for integration into the Galactic Empire." His cold eyes showed no emotion as he continued. "Your resources are required for the greater glory of Emperor Hansol. Surrender control of your governments and natural resources within one standard rotation, or face immediate pacification." The message ended abruptly, leaving billions in stunned silence. In an underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, the United Earth Defense Council gathered quickly. The room was filled with the planet's top military and political leaders, their faces grim as they watched replays of the alien demand. "They've done this before," said Colonel Kang, pushing forward a stack of intelligence reports. 17 other worlds in the past 10 years, always the same pattern. General Park Soo-jin stood at the window, her reflection overlaid against the massive holographic display of the alien vessel. At 52, she had spent 30 years preparing for this day, though many had called her paranoid. "Show me their weapons systems," she ordered. A hologram zoomed in, highlighting various points on the Imperial ship. Massive cannons, missile bays, and energy projectors covered its surface. "Their approach suggests they expect either immediate surrender or a traditional military response," said General Park, turning to face the council. Her eyes were calm, analytical. "They think we'll either give up or try to fight them on their terms." President Choi leaned forward. "And what do you suggest we do, General?" Park smiled slightly. "Something they won't expect." She pressed her palm against the table's surface, activating her security clearance. The lights dimmed as a hidden compartment opened in the center of the table, revealing a small black cube. 15 years ago, we discovered something in the Antarctic ice, something that changed everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. The cube projected images of an ancient spacecraft, discovered deep beneath the ice, along with technology beyond human understanding. "We've been reverse engineering this technology in secret," Park continued, "creating weapons and defenses the Empire knows nothing about." Defense Minister Kim looked skeptical. "You're suggesting we fight? Their ship could destroy our major cities in minutes." "They could," Park agreed, "if we were what they think we are. But the Empire has made a critical mistake." She pressed another button, and the hologram shifted to show dozens of hidden facilities around the solar system. "They think we're alone and primitive. They don't know about our outposts on Mars, Europa, and Titan. They don't know about the fleet we've built using the ancient technology." Admiral Jun, head of Earth's modest space force, shook his head. "What fleet? We have 20 orbital defense platforms and maybe 40 combat-capable spacecraft." General Park's smile widened. "That's what everyone believes, Admiral. That's what we wanted everyone to believe." The hologram changed again, showing hundreds of advanced vessels hidden throughout the solar system, concealed by technology that bent light around them. "We've been building in secret for a decade," she explained, "using materials harvested from the asteroid belt, powered by technology that doesn't register on conventional scanners." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "The Empire believes they're dealing with a Type 0.7 civilization," Park continued. "They think we're just beginning to master nuclear power and basic space travel. They have no idea we've already reached Type 1.2. President Choi studied the holographic ships. "Why keep this secret from our own people?" "Because humans talk," Park said simply. "And the galaxy listens. We needed the Empire to underestimate us. If they knew our true capabilities, they would have come with their full armada instead of a single command ship and support vessels." Defense Minister Kim still looked concerned. "Even with these ships, can we really defeat them? The Empire has conquered entire sectors. The technologies we've developed don't just match theirs. They exceed them. Park explained. The ancient spacecraft contained principles of physics the Empire hasn't discovered yet. She brought up diagrams of weapons systems based on dimensional manipulation, gravity control, and quantum entanglement. Their shields can stop energy weapons and physical projectiles. They can't stop a weapon that creates a temporary micro-black hole inside their engine room. Admiral Jun studied the weapons specifications with growing excitement. These are tested. They work. We've been conducting trials in the Kuiper Belt for years, Park confirmed. Far enough from Earth or Mars that the Empire's long-range sensors wouldn't detect us. The council members exchanged looks of cautious hope. "What do you propose, General?" asked the president. "A message," Park replied. "We tell them to leave or face destruction. When they laugh at us, and they will laugh, we show them exactly what humanity is capable of." "And if we win?" asked Foreign Secretary Lee. "What then?" "Then we help the 17 worlds they've already conquered," Park said firmly. "We build an alliance based on mutual protection rather than exploitation. We ensure no species ever faces what these worlds have endured." President Choi stood, looking at each council member in turn. "This decision affects all of humanity. I need consensus." One by one, the council members nodded their agreement. "Very well," the president said. "General Park, prepare your response to the Empire. And may whatever gods exist in this universe have mercy on them if they choose to fight." As the meeting adjourned, General Park remained at the window, watching the hologram of the Imperial flagship. In 12 hours, that magnificent vessel would either be retreating from Earth or reduced to scattered atoms. Either way, after today, the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. She touched her communication device. "Activate all Phoenix Protocol teams. It's time to show the Empire what they've awakened." Dr. Kim Ji-ho walked through the secret underground facility, his footsteps echoing on the polished floor. At 63 years old, he had dedicated his life to the Phoenix Protocol. Today would prove if that dedication had been worthwhile. "Status report," he requested, entering the main control center buried 2 kilometers beneath what the public thought was just a weather research station. "All systems are ready, Doctor," replied his assistant, Dr. Yoon. She gestured to the wall of screens showing various facilities throughout the solar system. "Mars Base Prime reports all ships powered and crews ready. Europa Station confirms the Lazarus array is at 98% charge." Dr. Kim nodded, his face showing little emotion despite the enormity of what was happening. The truth about humanity's technological advancement was known to fewer than 5,000 people across Earth. Everyone else believed the public story, that humans were still struggling with basic fusion power and short-range space travel. The truth was far different. In 2087, a team of physicists working in an abandoned mine in Finland had accidentally opened a tiny tear in reality while testing a new particle accelerator. What they found on the other side changed everything. The quantum realm wasn't just theory. It was an accessible dimension with its own physics, its own rules. Rules that could be applied to our world with staggering results. "Show me the fleet," Dr. Kim requested. Dr. Yoon entered a command, and the main screen displayed the vast hidden shipyard beneath the surface of Mars. 300 vessels of various sizes waited in underground docks, their hulls made of materials that absorbed rather than reflected scanning waves. The largest was barely a kilometer long, small compared to the Empire's massive ships, but size was deceptive. "Dimensional displacement drives are functioning at optimal levels," reported Dr. Yoon, reading from her tablet. "Phase shift capabilities tested and ready. Quantum torpedoes armed." Dr. Kim remembered the early days, when they'd first understood what they had discovered. The Finnish team had brought in theoretical physicists from around the world, sworn to secrecy. When the first practical applications became clear, world governments had been quietly informed. For once in human history, nations had agreed on something. This knowledge had to be protected and developed in absolute secrecy. "The council is assembling now," Dr. Yoon informed him. "They're expecting your briefing in 10 minutes. Dr. Kim straightened his simple gray uniform. "Have the data packets ready. They'll need to understand our full capabilities before deciding how to respond to the Empire. As they walked to the council chamber, they passed dozens of scientists and engineers, all working calmly despite the alien ship hanging above Earth. These people had been preparing for this day for decades. "Do you think the Empire has any idea?" asked Dr. Yun quietly. Dr. Kim shook his head. "Their reconnaissance has always been conventional. They observe our public infrastructure, our visible technology. They see what we want them to see." The council chamber was already full when they arrived. President Lee Hai-jin sat at the head of the table, her face showing the strain of the past few hours. Around her sat the Defense Council, 12 men and women representing Earth's combined military and scientific leadership. "Dr. Kim," the president acknowledged, "please help us understand exactly what we're capable of." Dr. Kim connected his tablet to the room's projection system. "The Empire believes we are a Type 0.7 civilization on the Kardashev scale. This means they think we can only harness a fraction of our planet's energy and have minimal spacefaring capability." Images appeared showing the Empire's scanning patterns over the past decade. "What they don't know is that we achieved Type 1.2 status in 2115. We can harness all of Earth's energy, plus significant energy from our Sun." He brought up schematics of the hidden power collectors orbiting between Mercury and the Sun, perfectly positioned to remain in the Sun's glare from the perspective of deep space observers. "Our fleet consists of 300 ships with crews of 20 to 50 personnel each. Small, but extremely powerful, the ships use dimensional displacement drives." "In simple terms," asked General Kang, "they can partially exist in another dimension," explained Dr. Kim. "This means conventional weapons pass through them, while they remain solid enough to fire their own weapons." The display showed a simulation of Imperial weapons firing at Earth ships, the energy passing harmlessly through them. "And our weapons?" asked Admiral Song. "Quantum torpedoes create temporary micro-black holes upon detonation. Phase disruptors cause molecular bonds to decay. Gravity lances can crush their ships from the inside." Dr. Kim displayed each weapon system. "We've tested all of them extensively in the Kuiper Belt." President Lee studied the information carefully. "What about planetary defense? If they target our cities?" "The Lazarus Array," Dr. Kim replied, showing a network of satellites hidden in various positions throughout the solar system. "It creates a dimensional bubble around Earth. Any attack would be shifted into the quantum realm before impact." "Has it been tested?" General Park asked. Dr. Kim hesitated. "Only at 20% capacity. A full power test might have been detected." The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. Their most important defense system was untested at full capacity. "What about the colonies?" asked another council member. "Mars Base, Europa Station. All have dimensional shifting capability," Dr. Kim assured them. "The Empire doesn't even know they exist." President Lee stood and walked to the window overlooking the underground complex. All these years of secrecy, all the resources diverted through shadow programs, the public thinking space exploration had stalled while we built all of this. She turned back to face them. "If we activate the Phoenix Protocol, there's no going back. The galaxy will know what we're capable of." Dr. Kim nodded. "That is correct, Madam President. But if we don't activate it, we become just another conquered world in the Empire's collection." The council members looked at each other, decades of preparation coming down to this moment. "I believe the council is ready to vote," said President Lee. "Those in favor of activating the Phoenix Protocol." Every hand in the room rose without hesitation. "Then it's decided," President Lee said firmly. "Dr. Kim, begin the activation sequence. General Park, prepare our response to the Empire." As the meeting ended, Dr. Kim walked quickly back to the control center. His hands moved swiftly over the main console, entering the complex sequence that would activate humanity's hidden fleet and defenses. Transmitting activation codes to Mars Base Prime, Europa Station, Titan outpost, and all solar observation platforms, reported Dr. Yoon. On screens around the room, lights changed from standby yellow to active green as humanity's secret forces came to life across the solar system. Dr. Kim watched with a mixture of pride and apprehension. For decades, he had dedicated his life to preparing for this moment, never certain it would come. Now, humanity's future would depend on whether their preparations had been enough. Phoenix Protocol fully activated, announced Dr. Yoon. All forces reporting ready. Dr. Kim nodded, a rare smile crossing his face. Then it's time to show the Empire what humanity is truly capable of. Admiral Taiwan stood on the command deck of the Eternal Dominion, watching Earth rotate slowly beneath his ship. The blue planet looked peaceful, primitive, and ripe for conquest. His 4 arms were folded behind his back in a traditional pose of imperial superiority. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface," announced Communications Officer Minho. "They request to deliver their response to our ultimatum." Taiwan smiled, revealing rows of sharp teeth. After conquering 17 worlds, he knew exactly how this would play out. The humans would beg for more time, offer partial compliance, or propose some meaningless compromise. "Put them through," he ordered, straightening his ornate uniform. It was important to look impressive when accepting a surrender. The main view screen flickered to life, showing a single human female in a simple green military uniform. No decorations, no elaborate backdrop, just a plain wall behind her. Taiwan was immediately puzzled. Where were the world leaders? The tearful diplomats? This was not how conquered species typically responded. The woman spoke without introduction or pleasantries. "The people of Earth have considered your demand and would like to issue a counter-proposal. Withdraw your forces immediately and never return. You have 6 hours to comply." For a moment, the bridge fell completely silent. Then laughter erupted from the Imperial officers. Taiwan himself couldn't contain his amusement, his mandibles clicking rapidly, the equivalent of a human chuckle. "I don't believe I caught your name or title," he said once the laughter died down. "General Park Soo-jin, United Earth Defense Forces." Taiwan leaned forward, studying the human more carefully. Her face showed no fear, no uncertainty, just calm determination. It was unsettling. "General Park," he said, infusing his voice with condescension, "perhaps you don't understand your situation. My ship alone could reduce your major cities to ash within minutes. The fleet behind me could sterilize your entire planet's surface in less than a day. We understand perfectly, Admiral. Then with what weapons do you plan to enforce this warning?" Taiwan spread his 4 arms wide, gesturing to the vastness of space around his fleet. General Park's expression remained completely neutral. "That's the interesting part, Admiral. You won't see them coming." She checked her watch. 6 hours. The countdown has begun. The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the view screen showing Earth once again. "Scan their planet again," Taiwan ordered, a slight feeling of unease creeping up his spine. "Full spectrum analysis." Science Officer Ju-1 bent over his console, fingers dancing across the controls. "Scans show exactly what we found before, Admiral. Rudimentary satellite network, primarily for communication and weather monitoring. Some basic orbital platforms, likely for scientific research. 18 small spacecraft with nuclear propulsion systems, nothing that could approach our velocity or firepower. What about hidden bases? Underground facilities? We detect approximately 40 military installations buried beneath the surface, Admiral, but none with energy signatures suggesting advanced technology. Their most powerful weapons appear to be fusion-based explosives with primitive delivery systems." Lieutenant Sunwoo, the tactical officer, laughed openly. "They're bluffing, Admiral. It's a desperate attempt to buy time." Taiwan walked slowly around the command pit, considering the situation. In his 60 years of military service, he had overseen the conquest of 7 worlds personally. Each time, the pattern was similar: desperate pleas, feudal resistance, then surrender. None had ever issued a threat like this. Could they have allies? He asked suddenly. Check for communication signals leaving the solar system. Communications officer Minho shook his head. No transmissions detected beyond their local system, Admiral. And Imperial intelligence confirms they have had no contact with spacefaring civilizations prior to our arrival. Taiwan stared at the view screen, at the seemingly defenseless blue planet. Something didn't feel right. The human general had been too confident, too calm. What do we know about this General Park? He asked. Intelligence officer Dalgai consulted her files. Very little, Admiral. She doesn't appear in any of our preliminary intelligence reports on Earth's military leadership. That was even more puzzling. The Empire prided itself on thorough reconnaissance before invasion. They should have profiles on every significant military leader. Perhaps she's newly appointed, suggested Commander Gaisiok, his second in command. Elevated to her position after our arrival as a desperate measure. That made sense. Faced with an overwhelming threat, the humans had probably promoted someone, anyone, to handle the crisis. It doesn't matter, Todd decided, pushing aside his unease. Prepare the landing craft. We'll begin with their largest population centers. Standard procedure. Target military installations first, then government buildings, then infrastructure. Yes, Admiral, responded multiple officers. And what about their ultimatum? Asked Commander Jai Siak quietly. Taiwan waved one of his four hands dismissively. Let them count down their 6 hours. It will give us time to prepare properly. As his crew rushed to prepare for the invasion, Taiwan returned to the viewing platform. Something about the human general's confidence still bothered him. He had conquered enough worlds to recognize fear, even when hidden behind bravado. The general had shown no fear at all. Admiral, called Science Officer Ju-1, I've been analyzing their known weapons capabilities. Even if they deployed every nuclear device in their arsenal, they couldn't damage our fleet significantly. Our shields would absorb the impacts easily. And their conventional forces. Primitive aircraft, ground vehicles with basic projectile weapons. Nothing that could harm even our smallest scout ships. Taiwan nodded, feeling somewhat reassured. Still, as a precaution, he ordered, move the support vessels back to the outer orbit of their moon. Keep only the Eternal Dominion and 2 escort ships in direct Earth orbit. Commander Gaisiok looked surprised. You think they might actually have something capable of attacking us? No, Taiwan replied, not entirely truthfully. But there's no need to cluster our forces. Standard military procedure. As the hours passed, tension on the bridge gradually decreased. The crew returned to their normal routines, occasionally making jokes about the humans' empty threat. 4 hours into the countdown, Taiwan allowed himself to relax as well. Nothing had changed. Earth's limited military forces remained in their bases. No unusual energy signatures have been detected. Arrogant primitives, he muttered, returning to his command chair. Prepare the first wave of landing craft. We'll begin the moment their ridiculous deadline expires. Yes, Admiral, Commander Guy Siak acknowledged, then hesitated. Admiral, should we try to capture this General Park? Her behavior suggests unusual psychology for the species. Taiwan considered this. Yes, add her to the priority capture list. I'm curious what made her think she could threaten the Empire. As preparations for the invasion continued, Admiral Taiwan watched Earth's rotation bring night to the continent where General Park had transmitted from. Soon darkness would fall over that region, and shortly after, Imperial landing craft would descend through those same skies. By morning, the humans would understand the futility of resistance. By the end of their week, their world would be fully under Imperial control. And this strange, confident general would learn what happened to those who defied the Empire. What Taiwan didn't know, what his advanced sensors couldn't detect, was that throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden forces were moving into position, preparing to teach the Empire a lesson it would never forget. 5 hours and 59 minutes after General Park's warning, Admiral Ta-1 sat comfortably in his command chair. He sipped a warm beverage from his homeworld and watched the countdown clock on his display tick away the final seconds. 1 minute remaining in the humans' ultimatum. Admiral, reported Commander Gaisiak with an amused tone. Ta-1 nodded, setting down his drink. Are the landing craft ready? Yes, Admiral. The first wave can launch immediately after the deadline passes. The bridge crew worked calmly at their stations. Some were even placing informal bets on how quickly the humans would surrender once the invasion began. 30 seconds, called out the time officer. Ta-1 straightened in his chair, wanting to look proper for the historical records. The conquest of Earth would be another glorious chapter in the Empire's expansion. 15 seconds. Prepare to launch landing craft on my command, Ta-1 ordered. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deadline expired, Admiral. Ta-1 opened his mouth to give the launch order when Science Officer Ju-1 suddenly shouted. Admiral, energy fluctuations detected throughout the system. Source. Ta-1 demanded, immediately alert. Unknown. They're everywhere. Near Jupiter, Mars, Earth's moon. Ju-1's fingers flew across his console. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Before anyone could respond, the main view screen showed something impossible. Space itself seemed to ripple and tear. Where there had been empty vacuum seconds before, ships now appeared. Hundreds of them, materializing simultaneously at strategic points throughout the solar system. What in the Emperor's name? Whispered Commander Gaisiak. The ships were small compared to Imperial vessels, barely a kilometer in length. They were sleek, with no visible propulsion systems, weapons ports, or communication arrays. They were simply there, where nothing had been moments before. Battle stations. Ta-1 roared, his training taking over despite his shock. Raise shields. Power all weapons. The crew rushed to comply, but they were already too late. The human ships moved with impossible speed, not so much flying as sliding through space itself. They seemed to flicker in and out of reality, becoming partially transparent then solid again in rapid succession. Target the nearest vessels, ordered Ta-1. All batteries, fire. The massive cannons of the Eternal Dominion discharge, sending deadly energy beams toward 3 of the approaching human ships. The beams passed harmlessly through them, as if shooting at holograms. Direct hits, but no effect, Admiral, reported the weapons officer, voice cracking with disbelief. Before Ta-1 could issue new orders, the first Imperial support ship exploded. Not from the outside in, as with conventional weapons, but from its core outward, as if its very atoms had decided to tear themselves apart. The Relentless is gone, shouted Commander Gaisiak. No debris, no escape pods, just gone. The tactical display showed more Imperial ships vanishing one after another. Some simply disappeared, while others broke apart piece by piece, as if invisible hands were dismantling them. The human vessels aren't firing any visible weapons, reported Science Officer Ju-1, his voice shaking. They're just approaching our ships, and then our ships start to disintegrate. Admiral Ta-1 watched in horror as half his fleet vanished within minutes. 70 years of military service had not prepared him for this. His mandibles clicked rapidly in distress, a sound no one on the bridge had ever heard their admiral make. Impossible, he finally managed. Their technological level was confirmed by a dozen reconnaissance missions. They barely have nuclear power. They can't even reach their own moon reliably. Admiral, 3 vessels approaching the Eternal Dominion, warned the tactical officer. On the view screen, 3 of the human ships were indeed heading directly toward the flagship. They moved in perfect formation, phasing in and out of normal space, completely ignoring the barrage of weapons fire Ta-1's gunners were pouring toward them. Evasive maneuvers, ordered Ta-1. Maximum power to engines. The massive Imperial flagship tried to turn, its engines straining at full power. It was like watching a whale try to outmaneuver dolphins. The human ships easily kept pace, dancing around the Eternal Dominion as if mocking its efforts. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human vessels," reported Communications Officer Minho. On screen, Ta-1 ordered, gripping the arms of his command chair. General Park's face appeared on the view screen. She was sitting in what appeared to be the command center of one of the human ships. Behind her, officers monitored displays showing the ongoing destruction of the Imperial fleet. "Admiral Ta-1," she said calmly, "your 6 hours have expired. As you can see, my warning was not empty." Ta-1 struggled to maintain his composure. "What is this? What technology are you using?" "Something your empire has never encountered," Park replied. "We call it dimensional phase shifting. Your weapons can't touch us when we're partially shifted to another dimension, but our weapons can still reach you." On the smaller screens around the bridge, more Imperial ships continued to vanish or break apart. The crew watched in stunned silence as their invincible armada was systematically dismantled. "We've been monitoring your empire for decades," continued General Park. "We know about the 17 worlds you've conquered. We know about the slave labor camps. We know everything, Admiral." "That's not possible," insisted Ta-1. "Our scouts would have detected your observation ships." General Park smiled slightly. "Not if they were phase shifted. Your scouts have flown right through our observation vessels without even knowing they were there." Meanwhile, on the command deck of the EDS Nemesis, General Park continued the conversation while monitoring the battle displays. Around her, Earth officers coordinated the attacks with calm efficiency born of years of training. "Admiral, you have one chance to survive," Park said. "Power down your weapons, recall any landing craft, and prepare to receive boarding parties. If you resist, your flagship will suffer the same fate as the rest of your fleet." To emphasize her point, she nodded to a weapons officer. On a nearby display, an Imperial cruiser suddenly imploded, crushed by forces that bent its hull inward from all sides simultaneously. The Empire relied on their extensive database, Park explained to her bridge crew as they waited for Ta-1's response. "They never considered we might be hiding our true capabilities. That was their fatal mistake." The battle, if it could even be called that, continued for just minutes. It wasn't a fight. It was a demonstration. The remaining Imperial ships tried everything, firing all weapons, deploying fighter craft, attempting to jump to faster-than-light travel. Nothing worked against the phase-shifted human vessels. In his command chair, Admiral Ta-1 watched his mighty fleet being reduced to nothing. Years of conquest and glory ended in less than 15 minutes by a species he had dismissed as primitive. "Admiral," whispered Commander Guy Siak, "we have no choice. We must surrender." Ta-1 closed his eyes briefly, feeling the weight of history. He would forever be known as the admiral who suffered the Empire's first major defeat in over a century. "Power down all weapons," he finally ordered, his voice hollow. "Recall all landing craft. Prepare to be boarded." As the human ships closed in on the defeated flagship, General Park allowed herself a small smile of satisfaction. Humanity had remained hidden for decades, building their strength while appearing weak. Today, that strategy had paid off perfectly. The age of human submission to alien powers was over before it had even begun. Now it was time to show the galaxy what Earth was truly capable of. The Imperial bridge fell silent as strange light filled the room. General Park and 12 Earth Marines appeared from thin air, their bodies solidifying as they fully emerged from dimensional space. The Marines wore simple black armor that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They carried no visible weapons, yet the Imperial officers froze in fear. Admiral Ta-1 stood from his command chair, trying to maintain his dignity. His 4 arms hung limply at his sides, no longer projecting Imperial authority. General Park walked calmly toward him, her boots making soft sounds on the polished floor. Outside the viewport, the Eternal Dominion's escort ships were either gone or floating dead in space. The mighty flagship itself had lost power to everything except life support and artificial gravity. "The battle is over, Admiral," Park said, her voice echoing in the silent bridge. 27 minutes from first engagement to your surrender. Not the glorious conquest your emperor expected. Taiwan's mandibles twitched nervously. Up close, the human general looked even more ordinary. Average height, simple uniform, no decorations or medals, yet she had just destroyed most of his fleet with ease. "You use technology we've never seen before," he said, his voice quieter than usual. "How is this possible?" "Our intelligence reports were exactly what we wanted them to see," Park finished for him. "We've been monitoring your empire for decades, Admiral Taiwan. We know about the 17 species you've conquered. We know about the slave worlds and resource extraction. We know about the biological experiments on captured populations." The Admiral's exoskeleton shuddered visibly, a sign of extreme fear in his species. "What are you planning to do with us?" "With me." Around the bridge, his officers watched with wide eyes. Some had served the Empire for decades, never imagining they would face defeat. General Park gestured to her Marines, who began setting up small devices around the bridge. "Earth is declaring the formation of the Sol Protectorate. We will liberate every world the Empire has conquered and establish a defensive alliance. Your Emperor will receive our full demands within the day." "You can't possibly think you can challenge the entire Empire," Taiwan said, finding some of his courage. "This was just one fleet. The Emperor will send thousands of ships to crush your world." Park smiled slightly. "Those ships will face the same fate as yours, Admiral. But more importantly, we're not just planning to fight your empire." She touched a control on her wrist, and a holographic map appeared between them. It showed the entire galaxy, with Imperial territories highlighted in red. "We've already sent ships to each of the 17 conquered worlds. As we speak, my colleagues are meeting with resistance leaders, providing them with defensive technology and helping them overthrow Imperial control." Taiwan sank back into his chair. "Impossible. The coordination required, the resources. We've been preparing for this for a long time," Park explained. "Earth could have revealed itself years ago, but we waited. We watched. We learned everything about your empire's weaknesses." Beyond the viewport, more Earth ships appeared, surrounding the captured flagship. These vessels were larger than the attack ships, clearly designed for transportation rather than combat. "Your crew will be returned to your homeworld unharmed," Park continued. "You, Admiral, will deliver our message to your Emperor personally." "And what message is that?" Taiwan asked, his voice barely audible. "The age of Imperial conquest is over. Any world that wishes to join the Sol Protectorate will receive our full protection. Any attempt to attack or conquer others will be met with the same response your fleet received today." One of the Marines approached Park, speaking quietly. "General, resistance forces on Nexus Prime have already overthrown the Imperial governor. They're requesting additional support to secure the planet." Park nodded. "Send the 7th Fleet to assist." She turned back to the Admiral. "It seems your control was not as strong as you believed." 3 days later, the Imperial capital world of Karish was in chaos. News of the devastating defeat had spread quickly, despite efforts to control information. The Imperial Palace, a massive structure of crystalline towers and golden domes, was surrounded by nervous guards. Emperor Hansol paced in his private chambers, his ceremonial robes discarded for a simple military uniform. Around him, advisors argued loudly about how to respond to the crisis. 17 worlds in rebellion already," shouted Defense Minister Yule. "Our garrisons overwhelmed, our governors executed or imprisoned." "The humans must have been planning this for years," said Intelligence Director Song. "They coordinated with resistance groups on every conquered world simultaneously." "That's not the worst of it," added Fleet Admiral Jun, looking pale and sick. 3 more of our battle groups have been destroyed attempting to retake Nexus Prime. The human ships appear out of nowhere, destroy our vessels, and vanish again. The Emperor stopped pacing suddenly. And Admiral Tawan, has he returned? As if summoned by the question, the doors to the chamber opened. Admiral Tawan entered, escorted by palace guards. He looked thinner, his once proud exoskeleton now dull and unmaintained. "My Emperor," he said, bowing deeply, "I bring a message from Earth." Emperor Hansol gestured impatiently. "Speak." "The humans have formed what they call the Sol Protectorate. Any world wishing to join will receive their protection and technology." "They?" Tawan hesitated, then continued. "They demand the immediate withdrawal of all Imperial forces from the 17 conquered worlds, reparations for resources taken, and the abolition of the Empire's expansion programs." "Demands. They make demands of me," roared the Emperor, his 4 arms raised in fury. "There's more," Tawan continued, his voice shaking. "They have given us 1 standard month to comply. After that, they will bring the war to Imperial core worlds." Silence fell over the chamber. For centuries, the Empire had only known conquest and expansion. The idea of retreat was unthinkable. "We cannot give in to these demands," said Defense Minister Vudel eventually. "It would be the end of the Empire as we know it." "If we don't," replied Admiral Jun quietly, "there may be no Empire at all." Over the following weeks, the situation grew worse for the Empire. More conquered worlds declared independence and joined the Sol Protectorate. Imperial citizens, seeing the unstoppable human technology, began questioning their government's policies. On the distant world of Eryx, once a peaceful agricultural planet before Imperial conquest, celebration filled the streets. Imperial troops had withdrawn overnight, leaving their weapons and equipment behind. Earth ships hovered above major cities, their presence both protection and promise. In the central plaza of the capital city, an alien named Kel addressed the crowd. His elongated blue form, once bent from years in Imperial labor camps, stood straight and proud. "For 200 years, we endured Imperial rule," he called out, voice amplified across the square. "Today, we join the Sol Protectorate as equals, not subjects." The crowd roared in approval. Above them, the words "Flee now" were projected in enormous letters. The warning Earth had given to the Empire, now a symbol of liberation across the galaxy. On Earth, General Park stood at a window in the Defense Council chamber, watching the sun set over mountains. Behind her, reports flowed in from across the galaxy as humanity's hidden strength reshaped the order of things. "The Emperor has requested peace talks," said President Lee, joining her at the window. "They're willing to accept most of our demands." Park nodded. "Good, but we still need to verify their compliance. The Empire has been conquering worlds for centuries. Those habits won't change overnight." "Do you think we did the right thing?" asked the President. "Revealing ourselves this way." General Park watched the last rays of sunlight disappear behind the mountains. "We couldn't hide forever. Better to reveal ourselves on our terms than theirs." As darkness fell, lights appeared in the sky. Not stars, but Earth's new fleet returning from their missions across the galaxy. The era of hiding was over. The age of human leadership had begun.